There are times when you wish you had just kept quiet after hearing one careless comment. Having a knee-jerk response can lead to more than just awkwardness. It can also cost you trust. In today's world, relationships and even chances, in a world where everyone wants to be heard, deliberate quiet is a rare thing. Power comes from knowing when to keep quiet and say things that matter. It takes more than effort to be stoic. You have to be able to control yourself. Has been around for a very long time. It's not a way for the weak. It's a guide for people who want to stay centered in the mess of life. Live with Stoicism shows you how to control your feelings through discipline, strength, and depth. Mostly, pay attention to what you can change and know when to speak. If you've ever felt like your words let you down, this movie is for you. If you watch it all the way through, you'll get 7 tools to help you make your words should be a help, not a burden. Listen more, talk more. Listen more, and talk less. Less. Have you ever been talking to someone and they cut you off by saying, "Yeah, I know that already," or told them something important and got a confused laugh in return? In today's world, it looks like they turned the attention back on themselves. It's much easier to talk than to listen. Scroll through social media, and millions of people will yell, "Listen to me," but few are willing to really be. To be stoic and listen to someone else, you must be quiet. Listening isn't idle. It's a sign of strength of mind that can fight the urge to do something and instead choose the right time to act like a skilled fencer. They don't swing around wildly. The wise don't use words to tell you what to do. They just wait and watch. Fill the silence. They use it to get to know each other better. I want to share a story that shows how just being with someone can change everything. No one ever says a word, but Dave is a rideshare driver in Manhattan. A lot of small talk. One day, a woman gets into his car, eyes red from the Dave says, "Good morning," and rests a water bottle on the table for the next 40 minutes. The radio off and looks in the rearview mirror every so often as if to make sure, puts the bottle in the front cup holder. When they get there, she's fine, so she quickly leaves behind a, "Thank you for letting me sit in silence while I write this note. I just lost my father. Ride was the nicest thing that happened to me all week." Dave didn't say a word, but he said exactly what I'm here, and I know that listening is more than just sitting there. It's an active choice to listen quietly while someone talks. It's like asking a thoughtful, "Do you mean follow-up," or letting someone's silence be instead of talking over them quickly? To talk about nothing. Good listeners don't add their 2 cents. Don't act like you understand. Instead, ask. Don't jump to conclusions. Instead, wait. Their voice is the quietest in talks, but they can hear everything inside. People depend on these relationships when things really count. A good seller does more than just make a pitch. They also ask the right questions. The doctor doesn't just write a prescription. They also listen to what the patient is afraid of. Signs, and a good friend isn't someone who knows everything. It's someone who is there for you, who can be quiet with you and make you feel less alone. Here's an easy question for the next week. Listen to every exchange and write down how you did it. How many questions you ask versus how many answers you give if you ask twice. Once in a while, you should let the other person speak. The more you let them speak, the better. It's clear that people don't need to be fixed. They need to heal. To feel like you're being heard. And here's something to get ready for as you get better at. The more you listen, the less you'll need to talk because you'll understand that do not guess. Once you see the big picture, you will not fight over the little things. The most important people don't say much. They just say, more importantly. What's surprising is that when you really listen to someone, you become more self-aware when you notice your own impatience and the desire to jump in. Mental script ready for when it's your turn to say, "Let me tell you my story." That's a sign of real growth. You don't have to win the talk, you just want to link up Epictetus. once told us that nature gave we had 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we could hear twice as much as we spoke. Is a lesson that doesn't make mistakes. The question is, are you living in the other way around? Because once you start to control your words by listening, you'll find it's not your mouth that's hard. It's often your mind that makes you say it's not stupidity that's wrong. It's emotions that rise too quickly. How do you keep them in check? The storm inside. What if feelings are the quiet manipulator in every conversation? Have you ever let number 2 control how you felt? Take charge of your feelings. Many people only understand this after their relationships start to fall apart. Words are never fully what they seem to be. They're not dangerous, but once they're fired, you can't take them back. Worst of all, most of these arrows are fired not because of reason, but because of feeling. When we're mad, hurt, or scared, we talk for a short time at a time. If we lose control, something beautiful that we worked years to make can fall apart. Why learning to control your feelings before you speak isn't a nice to have, it's if you want to be calm, you don't have to be quiet. Forever it only tells you to be aware before you speak. It teaches that real freedom isn't being able to say whatever you want, but being able to hold back when you need to, and that only happens when you're in charge of your feelings. Have you ever been so mad that you wanted to scream and insult someone but quickly changed your mind? If you tell someone a secret just to make a point, you might lose their trust. Good. These kinds of things happen every day at home, at work, and even in social media comments from people you don't know. Let me tell you a story, and you should listen. Listen, because it shows how much feeling can change what you say. John was a boss at a tech company for a long time. He was from Chicago. People at work respected how calm he was. But one day in a tense meeting, his boss told everyone how bad he was in front of everyone. John lost it and cut him off. He got angry and told his boss he was harsh because the team didn't respect him. The room went quiet that afternoon, and John was taken away from his. The irony is that John wasn't wrong about how he felt, but he lost because as he did, if he had just taken 3 seconds to breathe, everything might have been okay. It turned out differently. Taking a big breath can be the difference between a smart answer and that's the change that Stoicism wants us to make every day. Don't speak when you're mad, don't talk about it. When you're hurt, don't answer. Modern neuroscience backs up what the Stoics knew thousands of years ago. A long time ago, the amygdala in your brain took over when your feelings are high, overwhelming the prefrontal cortex, which is in charge of thinking about other. It's true that when you're angry, your brain is briefly less smart. Everything you say at that time isn't really you. It's been taken over. Comes from your feelings. Are you okay with being the face of your? It's weird that controlling your anger doesn't mean. One of the most effective ways to change is to name your suppression as the art of transformation. When you use precision, don't just say, I'm mad, say, I feel. Whether you're feeling disrespected or helpless, naming your feeling wakes up your logical mind. Your brain gives you just the right amount of space to separate from the emotional wave another. This method comes from behavioral psychology if you want to blow up. Write down what you want to say, but don't send it. Write it by hand. It makes your brain switch from reacting emotionally to using structured words. Often you'll hear the difference in just a few minutes. No longer want to say those things at all. This is what Abraham Lincoln used to do when he was mad at someone, he would write a nasty letter and hide it. They called it an angry letter that was never going to be sent. It wasn't meant to be read by others, stayed with Lincoln so he could get his clarity back. Amazingly calm even during the worst political storms, you can also pick an anchor, a small thing you can do to clear your mind. It could be touching your wrist or slowly letting out air through your mouth. Impact is your brain's way of telling Paul to take charge. These aren't just random tricks. They're your shield, keeping your honor and peace while you learn how to. Controlling your words doesn't mean keeping quiet all the time. It means knowing when to speak up. Sometimes the most powerful thing is not what you say, but how you say it. What we choose to say, but not what we choose to have. Have you ever been in a situation where because you let your feelings get the best of you and said something you really wish you hadn't? Do not post it to feel bad, but to help everyone learn how to live. Stronger, calmer, and more purposeful speech. Don't forget to join. That Stoic philosophy will tell you every day that to master your third, talk less than you feel. Talk less than you think. There's a small but dangerous trait that most of us have. No matter what comes to mind, we call it being honest, keeping it real, or not bottling it up. But telling everyone everything you're thinking isn't honest. It shows you don't have any. In this field, people with depth aren't those who don't think, but those who do. How to say just enough and enough. Remember the last time you met up for coffee. While out with friends, someone said they were thinking about switching jobs before it was even done. Someone jumped in. To be honest, moving jobs right now is a bad idea. A few more words about just being real came next, and what started as sharing criticism, the mood changed. The person grew quiet, and they nodded to end the talk to that group, and maybe they'll never open up to that group again. When you say something to the wrong person at the wrong time and in the wrong way, it might as. It's possible that Stoics don't stay quiet because they don't have anything to say. Say they don't speak because they know every word of something easy has a price. It could be your time, your privacy, or your relationships. You don't want to talk less as you get older because you're empty inside, but because your Epictetus once said, "If you want to clean up the mess of careless words, I'm done." If you want to get smarter, you should be okay with being thought of as dumb and stupid. To stand up for what's right, you need to have the strength to keep quiet. People to understand you, but stay calm in your own skin. Please allow me to tell you a story. It's worth your time. It has a lesson that everyone needs to learn at some point. Thomas was sharp and smart, guy who worked in finance and was quick to think. He knew a lot about logic and had the mind of a whip. His boss brought up a new idea in a private meeting that didn't go over well. After thinking about it, Thomas was mad and jumped right in to point out his words were as sharp as knives, and he wasn't wrong, he just spoke too quickly and too bluntly. The boss didn't say anything at the time, but a few weeks later, Thomas was quietly fired from a big project made him confused, and the people in charge thought he didn't fit in with the culture. He didn't lose because he wasn't skilled. He lost. Thomas changed after that because he was right at the wrong time. Began writing down his ideas before meetings and reading them again 10 minutes later. He asked himself, "Am I saying this to help or to show how smart I am?" Answer was that people changed after he stayed quiet for a few months. Started to pay close attention when he spoke. His silence became a sign of depth, not fear. And you can begin in the same way. It's easy. Don't say what you're thinking right away. Instead, think about how much each word costs. You'll speak less and mean it more. Take 3 seconds to think about what you want to say before you say it. At this very moment, ask this person if they need a small question that the way a talk goes. Do you ever feel like you're putting too much pressure on yourself by saying too? Almost every time you talk about a plan, an idea, or a feeling, you're putting yourself in a tough spot, a place to defend or show it. But if you hold on to even a little of it, you are free to change your mind or even leave without feeling bad about it. Not everyone should know what you're thinking, and you don't have to talk to show that you exist. The right amount of quiet is without being seen. It protects you from misunderstandings, mental chaos, and fights that aren't worth the trouble. Are you speaking out to be heard, or are you just scared of being forgotten? Pick your words, pick your time, pick your audience that's not. Just talk to each other. It's survival. And before you rush to share your next big idea, keep this in mind. If seeds say them too soon, the wind could blow them away before they can say anything. Grow. Why is silence the best way to protect what's most important to you? Why do Stoics be so careful about telling others about their plans? Could change how you trust people and how you speak out in the world. Keep your plans safe. 4. Keep your plans safe. Something seems off about these days. People talk a lot about their goals but never seem to reach them. They blog about their plans, telling their friends, "I'm launching this, that skill for a project." This is the year that everything changes. A few months go by and some of it fades away like an old post that no one remembers why. People talk too much when they aren't stopped. Is the most powerful sleep aid for action. It makes you believe that you're creating progress when all you do is talk about it in the morning. You hear someone excitedly talking about their business idea in a cafe. "I'm going to open this one-of-a-kind coffee shop called Artsy Vibes Books, community-driven." The name sounds great, but after 6 months, you're still using the same thing. No new coffee shop, and the person at the same table with the same drink is still there. Not that it's telling a new story that sounds just like the last one. It's not that they're lazy or not honest. They've just fallen into a subtle mental trap. The idea of growth. Our brains have a hard time telling the difference between saying we'll do something and actually doing it. When you tell people about your plans, you get instant praise, encouragement, and nods of approval. When you get approval, you feel like you've already come halfway, but you haven't. Marcus Aurelius never bragged about how simple his life was. He didn't just talk about discipline. He lived it. That's what made him special. Think about it this way. If you were a tree, would you rather use your energy to just shake your stems to make it look like you're growing leaves? It's time to hear a story that will stick with you, and not because it's about a hero, either Jake 34 or legend, but because it's about someone like you. He always talked about leaving his corporate job to make his own app because he had so many great ideas. He gave great talks, drew up thorough plans, and told his friends he had even built everyone was impressed with the development pace. But month after month, not a single line of after the code was written. A friend told Jake straight out, "Jake, you're hooked on." It hit Jake hard the next day when he deleted a message about success instead of building it. His old posts stopped being shared, and he wrote his first line of code after 3 months of silence. Nothing was added to his app for months, and then one day it was live on the App Store. Jake's story makes us think, if there isn't any noise, just movement, then what? Do we do the work or just talk about it? If you can relate to this, let me know. Story that isn't failure. It's awakening to the fact that keep your ideas quiet to save energy for making them look real. At Thomas Sankara, the Burkinabe revolutionary, he never gave talks. He sold the government's fancy cars and bought his own to live simply. Cut his pay in half and grew vegetables in the White House garden. When you stop announcing your performance, people start to notice. Evidence speaks for itself. Silence is a way to actually do this, and for 30 days don't talk about your goals with anyone. When you want to talk about what you're doing, don't post humble brags. Take a moment to write down one specific thing you can do instead. Not because you don't deserve praise, but because you deserve more than just a round of applause. That's it for now. You're already halfway through. If you're still reading, that means you're not just interested in theory, you want to live it. Mastering your words is a big deal. It takes time and effort. But the next chapters will give you a real plan that works and isn't just a bunch of preaching to become calm. As a way of life, walk the whole path. And if you learned anything here, it only takes a quiet like from you to send support far, just like the stern spirit is very quiet and full of strength. No 5. Pick the people you trust. It's a moral suicide to not do this. Pick the people you trust. A lot of people do it every day without even realizing it. They talk too much, and if you're with the wrong people, you might think you're connecting when you're really digging a hole. And each personal detail is like a scoop of dirt until one day. If the idea that someone else used what you said to bury you sounds heavy, then let me ask. Tell me, of all the people you've told, how many really didn't say anything? Because they respect you, not just because they haven't had a chance to use it yet. Teach us to be careful with our words, but few people understand that this doesn't just mean talking less. It also means picking you don't have to shut down, but you do have to talk to the choose wisely. The longer you live, the more you realize that not everyone deserves access to the files inside your machine. Have you ever been on a bus and met a stranger and all of a sudden found yourself talking about family problems with them? That feeling that they won't judge your problems or work stress. We open up when they're not involved, but only when they're not involved. They don't care about what you said in a culture that is based on. One of the easier things to take advantage of is someone who doesn't know much about something. Mark is a guy who started out as a personal trainer and told someone he thought was a close friend, marketing ideas, money problems, bills not paid. The guy heard, nodded to show support, and then opened a gym right next door, making casual comments like, "I'm not," about Mark's exact clients. "Sure, I can keep this going for another month." But Mark scared off possible investors, not because he was weak, but his weak spots were shown to the wrong person too soon, so this doesn't. Just so you know, it happens at work when you complain to a friend and the way your boss is acting differently. It happens in families when a confession turns into a manipulative tool that people use online, where they pour their hearts out to people who use computers say it helps. But feeling lighter isn't always the same as, there are always costs to being smart and too open. So what do? Totally quiet, but train ourselves to think before we speak. Ask will sharing. If you're not sure, this will either make me stronger or give someone else power over me. Remember that everything you say is saved somewhere in the mind of someone. You won't be able to join discussions or, worse, be a part of a plan that's against you. When someone shows up 3 times, you should follow a simple but strong rule. Should come into your life at least 3 times, in times of joy, pain, and before you say anything, be quiet. On the surface, everyone is nice when things go wrong. People who don't say anything when they have nothing to gain are bad. Who you trust. To see how this works in real life, look at how CEOs protect new products. They know leaks are going on, not because they don't trust their people. Leaks do happen, and the worst ones come from people who don't keep their word. Life is also a work in progress, so don't let anyone judge the prototype. Vients can be your last line of defense against a hidden strike, and if you have a true confidant, they won't need you to say much. They'll be able to see you even if you don't speak. The Bible says not to don't put your pearls in front of pigs so they don't step on them and tear you apart. It's not that you don't have anything valuable, it's that not everyone will be able to keep what you give them. So think about who you're sharing who you're telling the truth. And are you sure they'll keep it safe? The person who knows the most will get a chance to use it one day. About you might not understand you at all, and the person who does. You might not need to know everything. That's when you'll understand what silence means. It is not the lack of words, but the presence of knowledge. But how much silence is enough? And where does the line lie between quiet knowledge and coldness that seems far away? The answer might surprise you. Number 6 is quiet. Being quiet is strong. It's not that people don't say anything. Power quiet is a choice that comes with a price that is neither glamorous nor easy, but very high because sticking. There was a time when it took 10 times more guts to stay quiet when you had every reason to speak up. Where everyone has a mic, on social media, in podcasts, and in live streams, who dares to stay quiet if that person is you? You might not be responding to the world as you think you are. Do you own your part in it? Have you ever been in a situation where someone said something bad about you in public? Of a crowd, your stomach turns, your blood rushes to your head, and your mouth wants to fire back. But if you've ever kept it inside and just looked, didn't say anything, nodded and walked away, you know it doesn't feel good, but that time says to the world, I don't have to prove anything, and you're not just Marcus Aurelius. If you control your words, you control yourself didn't talk much. His thoughts were written to himself in a rarely used. He wrote that the best way to get back at someone who hurt you is to be different from them. Don't copy, Don't fight back, and don't get caught in the trap of response you don't need. To speak out and fight back, all you have to do is avoid becoming what you hate. Have you ever noticed how some people say very smart things that don't stick while others just don't say anything while they work, and will remember them forever because words are, gravity is what sound waves do. You don't have to see it to know it. Pulls anyway, there's a part of silence that most people stay away from because they're afraid of being. We're afraid that people will think we're weak if we don't say anything. I have no idea what's going on, but here's the catch. Silence has a strange power, forces people to guess, and when they're not sure, you gain power. It all sounds good, but how do you live it when the world is always on the edge? The answer lies in the little things that happen when the person you love is get angry and bring up all the mistakes you've made in the past. Please just hold their hand and be quiet. When a coworker gently insults you, don't defend yourself. Instead, listen. In a meeting, can you look at your boss with a smile and just say what you need to say? David is a guy who works in design, which isn't a creative area. Always got a fair reward when a friend stole his idea and pitched it to their boss. Everyone clapped as David took his boss's words as their own. David didn't say anything back or call out When it was time to carry out the plan a week later, the team went to David for more information. Because the main ideas lived in his head, not theirs, he had control over the moment and didn't need to say anything. Because of what he did that day, people saw him differently. They saw him not only as gifted, but, when used correctly, grounded silence changes the script and makes people not listen. They listen to you because they know what to expect when you talk. It does matter. And sometimes silence is just what you need when we stop speaking out. If you sit with every bad feeling for a while, those feelings start to go away. The same in Buddhism, Zen, and Taoism. When you don't respond, you're not doing it because you're not going to, avoiding it, but because you're thinking about it more deeply. Here's a try a day of silence where you don't argue, prove, or write vague story posts. Meant for someone just watch the track every time you wanted to talk but didn't then ask yourself at the end of the day, if I had said something, would it has really made things better? Maybe you're not the most articulate speaker. That's okay. You can still make your words count by speaking less. Don't give away your voice too often. Only use it when it matters. Too often people say that quiet is strength, but only if you can keep it. If you ever put something off and then realized it made you stronger, drop a strength in quiet to mark the time you stopped reacting the way you used to. To number 7, let your accomplishments speak. Most of us share a deeply human trait. Let your accomplishments speak. The urge to be noticed is a strong one, and the fastest way to quench that thirst, let's talk about what we're working on or what we plan to do. What we want to happen is that people will take us seriously and see us as important if we speak out. Truth be told, the more we talk about something, the more likely it is that we'll forget about it. We shouldn't speak too soon or too much because it hurts our credibility. The need to act. It's easy to do things when we say what we want to say. Fall into the illusion that we've made progress when in fact we haven't even started. People who follow the quiet way of life know every word of this. It takes time and effort every time you pitch an idea, defend a choice, or try to show that they chose to act first and talk later. So you're giving away something that should have been saved for action. Because they don't have anything to say and know who to trust. People won't believe you if you don't let your achievements speak for themselves in a world that never stops. People pay the most attention to those who know when to be quiet. When did you last say you were going to train for a marathon, write a book, or learn a new language, do something or start a project? If you're like most people, the original thrill probably faded quickly after that. Just by saying it out loud, you got a rush of that satisfied feeling without having to do the job your brain did. They got the prize before they paid the price, and then things stopped. Not because you're weak, but because you traded action for image. You chose to be silent on purpose. Isn't avoiding. It's a smart move, like setting a seed. You don't pull it up. Every day, you let it grow slowly but steadily to see how much it has grown. People are the same. The most important things need to be kept safe from hasty judgment and anxious eyes. When you keep your ideas to yourself, you give them a safe place to grow. Outside pressure or distortion continuing to be quiet is another way to train your inner focus. Isn't easy, but it's simple to show that you're putting in more effort. To move forward without needing approval. But that's exactly what sets. To be able to hear yourself, you have to really believe in your own process. You don't need to be understood or praised. You just need to know what you're talking about. Do what you're doing and don't stop until you see results. If you say a word, they'll say it for you. That's more than just appreciation. It's don't trust you just because you said you would. Trust you because you did. Only show truth that has weight, the kind that makes people stop and pay attention. And look at you differently because you made it, not because you wanted to be seen. Because it's hard not to be. The next time you want to share a plan, stop and ask. Ask yourself, what would happen if I didn't tell anyone about this? Are you ready to let the answer be the only thing that talks? If it's yes, you're on the right track. Because the person who has power over their words is really in charge. And that's where the real value starts. We just looked at 7 Stoic, in-the-end ideas for lessons to help you learn words by listening more and controlling from understanding when silence talks louder than words. Each one is more than just a philosophical idea. It's a useful tool that will help you live a clearer, stronger, and more authentic life. Strength in silence, because as we grow, we don't have to do as much. What we do starts to speak for us when we talk. Words can build or break, but if you can master them, you'll not only master speech, but also being strong gives you the power to be free and calm inside even when things are going crazy. And a sure focus on the road you choose. If this video made you think of something, give it a like. It might make you think of something you hadn't before. Leave a comment with your ideas so we can all grow. Also, share this with a friend or family member. One person who needs some peace and quiet right now, and don't forget to sign up now because you're just beginning your journey to self-mastery. What's next will keep you going strong. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.